We are here. The hell is this? Okay. Okay. Just seeing what this chat summary is that just popped up on my phone. Hopefully that there it goes, it disappears. All right. Let's see if you guys can see me. Waiting. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. We're waiting for the screen. Do 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 do. All right, there we go. Okay, let's see if you guys can see me, because I can see me now. There we go. Jacob, New York Budget Prepper, Mortimer, Fastball, Farm Ranch, Emma, 54, Cal, Patty, Krista, Telmore, Judy, David. Good. Okay, we got a bunch of 5x5s. Happy Tuesday, guys. It is still early. We still have another hour to wait till we can cross our fingers that the Somalian witch is kicked out of Minnesota. Hopefully, we can add another squad member to the unemployment line, get rid of that piece of trash out of here. But polls don't close for another hour in Minnesota. So hopefully, a lot of people paid attention and realized that Minnesota is an open primary and it's not like Republicans going to win in Minneapolis, St. Paul anyway, in the 5th district. So hopefully they went in and voted for Don Samuels so we can kick out Ilhan Omar. I don't know anything about Samuels, but all I know is he's not a Somalia first candidate. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that was it. That's been kind of what I've been paying attention to, watching what's going on in Great Britain today. Seeing, of course, all the feedback from last night's Trump-Musk deal that I talked about this morning. You know, it's interesting seeing the left just losing their collective mind over everything. But overall, I'm not worried about it. You know, it's just they're in panic mode because the honeymoon phase is now coming to an end. And, you know, what are we now? 23 days in since she's been christened the candidate and still hasn't answered a single question from the press. Yeah. Okay. The people might want to know something, you know, about what your platform is, you know, stuff that you didn't steal from Trump. It's funny how they're out there today parading around the $35 insulin thing again. It's like, no, that was Donald Trump too. So who knows? But yeah, that was about it. So it was an interesting listen, 2 hours long yesterday after they got started late. So we all got a late night's sleep, but it was important to listen to it. No, nothing blockbuster came out about it. It was a good conversation, but I mean, we didn't learn anything new. It was just pretty much the same stuff. I mean, there's some good comments in there, but you know, I love the idea of Elon Musk being part of a presidential committee and figuring out how to balance the budget. That would be a good idea. But yeah, all in all, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't really have a position on Elon Musk. I mean, hell, this is a guy that voted for Obama. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to necessarily say he's one of us, but, you know, people can have an epiphany sometime in their life and realize, hey, I was an idiot. So that was it. All right. Before we get started here tonight, mods, real quick comment to you guys, okay? It's not a race to block a comment or whatever. You don't get bonus points for being the first one that did it. So please do yourself and do me a favor and make sure you read the whole comment and don't be quick on the trigger finger. It's if somebody's rude, okay? That's it. It doesn't matter if it's 5 emojis or something like that. We don't need to be blocking that sort of stuff. It's if somebody's being an asshole, that's when we toss them. Okay, so yeah, let's not. I'm getting too many emails lately of why am I blocked, and then I've got to go back and figure it out. So chill. Okay. All right. Not that you guys don't do a great job. I appreciate it, but let's not get overzealous. That's all I'm asking. But yes, thank you to the mods for doing a good job. All right, let's get into Q&A. We're going to go quick tonight with that, with me talking, just because we can, and see what's on y'all's mind, because as we get closer and closer to the end of the world as we know it, November 5th, it's the end of the world as we know it. It's either we get rid of the communism that's going on in the country right now, or the country's gone. So, yeah, the world will be a different place after the election, either good or bad. But yeah, if you got questions for me, please put them in all caps, just like every other YouTube channel. Nothing surprising there. And again, the only rule we have around here is no being an idiot. You want to be a jackass, go do it somewhere else. We're not dealing with it around here. That I got no problem tossing anybody for. You guys know it. You know some of the people who have been tossed for being an asshole. And some of them comes as a surprise sometimes. So don't have any patience for that. Okay. If I wouldn't deal with you in real life, I certainly ain't going to deal with you here. Let's just leave it at that. All right, let's get into Q&A. Let's see what's up on the top, and we'll go from there. Damn flies. All right, there's all the 5x5s. And PJ, Kentucky, what is Mrs. P's take on the Putin speech? I didn't even know he gave one. Mrs. P and I didn't talk about it. So if she watched it, it apparently wasn't anything big. I didn't even know there was one. So Vicky Savage, if I had my druthers, she'd be shipped back to Somalia to deal with Sharia law. Yeah, I'd be perfectly happy to ship her back too in a pine box. That'd be it. I mean, my McIntyre, yeah, right here, so I'm on. Dirty like the government. All International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers International were told to vote straight Democrat. Yeah, and that's typical of the unions. You look at what the UAW did today. They are trying to sue Donald Trump and Elon Musk, saying that their conversation yesterday was threatening workers and stuff like that. No, okay. They're allowed to say whatever they want. I hate to tell this to people. Free speech does still exist in the United States, regardless of the fact that the Democrats want to stop it. We aren't Great Britain, okay? You know, yes, we can say fuck Mohammed if we want to, and nobody's going to come knock on your door. Sorry about the language, but it gets my point across. So, yeah, if you look at it, the union bosses, you know, the UAW, the IBEW, you know, the bosses, they're all going to be like, oh, yeah, we need to back the Democrat. That's typical. The workers, on the other hand, if you remember when the UAW did this a few weeks ago and said they're going to back Kamala Harris, the auto workers all said, no, not happening. I mean, they can tell them to vote Democrat. They ain't going in the polling ballot box, you know, polling booth with them. So, you know, the people can still do whatever they want. And if you get into the point where they start now trying to force the employees to vote one way or the other, then you have a crime being committed. So we'll see what happens there. E. Hyde, how do I get rid of mice in my chicken coop without chemical poisoning? Thanks for taking the question. I'm going to take a guess, okay, again, because I don't have chickens, so I can't tell you. But I'm going to take a guess you can do the same thing that you can do for a car, is get some peppermint oil and spray it around the chicken coop, because the mice don't like the peppermint oil. Don't know how chickens deal with peppermint oil, okay? But short of putting traps out, which would be the other suggestion, okay? If you want to just keep them away, try spraying it with some peppermint oil. I bought some on Amazon. It was like $8 for a quart or something like that. And I told you guys about that because twice the mice had got in the engine compartment of my truck and chewed through the fuel injector wires. So yeah, I sprayed it down. Ever since I've done that, I haven't had a problem. So Carolyn Robbins, have I tried growing carrots by putting cardboard or 2x4 over the rows over the greens? Once the greens spread, that's how I do it every year. Yes. Because the whole point of that is the seeds need to be kept consistently moist, and that way you keep that water from evaporating there, because carrot seeds literally sit right on top of the soil. So That's why you want to keep them moist. Yes, that's exactly how I do it. Kevin Little, Trump is supposed to debate Harris September 4th on Fox. I know it's my birthday. It should be interesting. That's if she shows up. Okay. You know, the only one she's committed to so far was the September 10th one, you know, except as you remember, she was calling Trump a coward for not agreeing to debate. And Trump's like, fine, let's do three of them. We'll do the 4th, the 10th, and the 18th or something like that. And she's like, well, I'll do the 10th. What about the other two? You know, Chicken Mala is what she's been affectionately known because she's afraid of going there. You know, I got a kick out of it a couple of days ago. She says they're trying to schedule an interview with somebody between now and the end of the month. That was on like the 10th or the 11th. It's like, so in the next 3 weeks, we can expect maybe one interview out of you. Who's the chicken? You know, who's the coward? Jacqueline Presnell, good evening, Pinball. Do you do anything to overwinter my strawberry plants? Nope, not a thing. Just let them die back and they will grow back next year. I mean, now again, your climate, my climate could be totally different. Okay, I don't know where you are. I mean, do we get days below freezing here? Yes. Okay, no big deal. You know, I mean, if you're living in International Falls or something like that, it could be totally different. I don't know, but you're asking if I do anything? Nope. I just let them die off naturally, which they're doing now. And then in the spring, they just start growing again on their own. Circe is, whoops, we just shot to the bottom. So let's see if I can go find where you were again. Shouldn't be too, there it is. Is it bad to till or turn the soil in the gardens every season? Pop out rocks, Western Mass. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to tell you what some people do and go from there. I till my garden every year, okay? Because as of right now, as I'm out mowing the lawn the other day and went and got like 6 more yard sweepers of grass clippings and leaves and stuff like that, and threw them all in part of my garden there. I mean, I've got a foot deep of grass clippings in, what is that, 24 by, no, 40 by 320 square feet. So, or 320 square feet, and I've got a foot deep of grass clippings. So how many, 320 cubic feet at that point of grass clippings. I will turn all that into the soil next year, next spring. I'm going to let it just decompose, do its thing over the winter. I do it every year, it doesn't have a problem. You will have people that come out and say, oh, but you're disturbing the soil, and oh, you know, the microorganisms and the worms have made all their tunnels and yada. Don't make more. Trust me. Worms have lived on the face of the earth for ever. Okay? They will figure out what to do. The downside to doing it, oh, there's upsides and downsides. The upside is, like you said, you're going to pull up some rocks. And I do that every year, and I clean out the rocks, and Tennessee is famous for growing rocks. So, you know, get more rocks out of the ground. Not a big deal. And as my soil gets deeper and richer and better, I have less and less and less every year. No problem. The downside to doing that is you do turn up the weed seeds. And all of a sudden, seeds that may have been buried deep or whatever it is now get closer to the soil and they can germinate. And this is, again, why I mentioned to people about using preen or using row cover or, you know, landscape fabric and everything like that to control the weeds. That is an important thing. I mean, I've got where my onions were, okay? I mean, I've got weeds out there in that part of the garden right now that are 3 feet high. And I'm just letting them grow because come fall, when that rest of the garden is done, I will get the lawnmower out there and I will just mow it all down. I will cover it all with cardboard and I will throw grass clippings on, and then all that organic matter, all that green is nitrogen is going to go right back into the soil and decompose for next year. So it's a lot of using it. Long answer to your question. I do it. Not everybody does it. I'll just throw this one at you, okay? Farmers till their fields every year, and I'll leave it at Uh, Aloha Jay. When shit hits the fan happens, do you save your pets or not? Around here, absolutely. Okay. I'll save my dogs before I save a lot of people around here. There's no question whatsoever. My dogs are part of my family, period. Okay. And I'm sorry, my family takes precedent over anybody. That's it. Yes, I will be. Nothing drives me more nuts when you see like hurricanes hit or people leave their dogs or leave the cat or something like that. I'm like, you cold-hearted SOB. You know, that dog didn't or that cat didn't do anything to deserve the fate that you just left them to. You know, no, I will absolutely be saving my dogs, no question. I mean, I get it if you got goldfish or something like that, you're not going to take the goldfish bowl with you, okay? But dogs, cats, you got rabbits or whatever it is. Yeah, you took that responsibility when you got them. That responsibility does not give up because, oh, life got a little hard. Brenda H., what's my opinion on buying meds on Jay's Case or Refuge Medical? I know everybody talked about those a couple of years ago. If you want to pay 2 times, 3 times what you can get the same stuff for at Walmart, go for it. Okay, just because it comes in a nice little box. If you want to go get the stuff, go to the pharmacy. You can get all the same stuff for about 1/3 of the price. Okay. Answer my question or answer your question. Don't waste the money. Marie SCHN. I'm guessing that's an abbreviation for something I'm not going to guess. We are having a huge rally in Woodstock, Illinois on Sunday, 8/18, fundraising for Trump in Illinois. Thousands expected, at least 9 caravans decorating with American and Trump flags heading there. That's fabulous, great, and I'm happy you're doing it. If you guys can manage to flip Illinois, that would be the greatest thing in the world. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe Chicago has, downtown has realized, hey, the Democrats haven't done shit for us in 70 years. Maybe we'll try something different. Be nice to see. I mean, you can imagine the shockwave around the world if Illinois went red. I mean, I think the last time Illinois went red was when they voted for Reagan over Mondale, and that was what, 84? So, yeah. Cindy Steger, how's the diet progress? Well, there hasn't been any progress in about 3.5 months. I am still sitting in the low 280s. So, I mean, I'll bounce around within about 3 pounds, but that's it. I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's dropping almost 30 pounds, but I still wanted to do another 30, and it just ain't going anywhere. Disney Mom, we have a huge nest of yellow jackets. They ate through a wicker chair and set up a nest. How do we get rid of them? Stung my kids 16 times. Go get some of that wasp killer or whatever it is and spray them. I mean, that's it. You know, the stuff where you stand back, sprays 25 feet or whatever, and just soak the hell out of the nest. Just do yourself a favor. Do it in the evening, around this time when it gets darker, they get less active. That's when you'll be able to kill the nest. So don't try to do it in the middle of the day or whatever. Fort Defiance, I think everyone here knows within a couple of months we are going to be tested on how well we prepared. I hope not, but connecting the dots is leading to a bad place. Yeah, it is. Okay. And, the funny thing is you look at all the things that Kamala Harris has said over her career that she wants to do. I want to, first 100 days, I'm going to do a gun confiscation, we're going to kill free speech, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my answer to this is, imagine her winning and we turn into what Great Britain's become in 30 days. 30 days after the Labour Party won the election in Great Britain, the country went totally communist. Okay, Soviet Britain right now. And I mean, they put a 12-year-old kid in jail or something like that for participating in one of these protest marches, parade or protest march, I guess. 12-year-old kid they put in jail. They're putting people in jail for 2.5 years for posting something on Facebook, yet giving these invaders 6 months for raping little girls. Okay, that's how backwards these idiots are. That's what's coming here. And the way I look at it is this: anybody that doesn't fight back against it deserves exactly what they get. Okay. If you're okay with, not being able to speak your mind, if you're okay with having to stand in line for a pound of butter, if you're okay with, people raping children, I'm going to have a problem with you. Okay. And you say leading to a bad place. We may get into a place where, they wanted to fund the police. They said, oh, communities should be able to police their own, right? We can defund the police. Okay, that's what you want. We'll police our own. But don't come after us when you don't like the way we do it. Just saying. Andy, Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. How late can I plant garlic? Well, if you're planning on harvesting this year, you're not going to. At this point, it's how early can you plant garlic, because garlic has a 8-month time frame to grow. I will be planting my garlic here sometime between Halloween and Thanksgiving, so I can harvest it sometime next June. Okay, that's it. You're not harvesting garlic this year at this point. Okay, I mean, if you planted it today, garlic likes cold weather to start. Okay, just giving you that. If you planted it today, you're not harvesting it till April. So just think about that. Peppermint Patty, that's cute. How do I respond to someone who said Kamala Harris has had no power the last 3.5 years to make any positive changes? The person is woke. No kidding. I don't know. Go and look at Joe's speech today, where he said out of his mouth, she was part and parcel with all the decisions that were made in the White House under his presidency. So use Joe Biden's words today. You can go find clips of it on social media where he was commending Kamala Harris for all the great work they did together, and said in there that she was instrumental in a lot of the policies and economic policies they have. I mean, like this whole, all of a sudden she comes up with the no taxes on tips thing, Trump's idea she's rolled out a couple of days ago. She kind of forgets the fact that when they hired the 87,000 IRS agents, and one of the big things to push through in that bill was for the IRS to go after tipped employees. That was a 50-50 tie in the Senate. Guess who had to cast the vote to break the tie? Oh, that would have been her. Yeah. Judy Rose, do I read fiction? If so, what is my favorite genre? Again, it's going to be, I don't know how you describe it. Something that's going to be somewhere along the lines of military or prepping or whatever it is. I mean, I don't want to say I'm not into Hunger Games and all that sort of stuff, but obviously that I love the 1 Second After series. I've read every fiction novel that Tom Clancy had ever written. I mean, I remember when I was in the Army I was in language school at the Army, so this is what, 1985, and I got the book The Hunt for Red October for Christmas. And I got back to DLI in school, language school, so you don't have to work weekends unless you had CQ or guard duty or something like that. But I literally sat on my bunk all weekend, except for going to the chow hall, the bathroom, and going to sleep, and read that book cover to cover in a weekend. So, yeah, I mean, those are the types of books I read. I'm not, I'm a guy. What do you think I'm going to read? Yeah, Harlequin romances are not me. So, uh, Von Berger, my grandfather used to use peppermint gum. I'm assuming this is back in the mice and the chicken coop thing. So, yeah, same idea. Peppermint oil, maybe peppermint gum. I mean, again, I'm speculating on that one. Wendy Cosmerol, if we go to healthcare for all, if we go to healthcare for all through the government, what happens to the insurance companies like Blue Cross? No idea. Okay. They probably go out of business. You know, those people will probably all be suddenly offered government jobs, and we can have, more government employees until we all work for the government, which sounds like Soviet Russia. That's the idea. You wonder why everybody says, oh, gee, this is communism. Yeah, the biggest employer in the United States is the government. Okay. The biggest employer in a communist ruling country is the government. That's how close we're getting. We're already there. You'd think Amazon or something. No, the U.S. government has more employees than Amazon or Walmart or anybody like that. And 80% of them are not essential employees. Inigo Montoya, best WWE wrestler, have no idea. I've never got into wrestling or mixed martial arts or UFC or anything like that. I don't care. Never, ever watched any of it. Ellen Knipe, sometimes learning a new skill only takes necessity and logic. That just had a pipe burst under my sink, had extra plumbing parts, so I had to figure out how to make it work with a couple of parts missing. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that's it. That's called thinking. Something. It's one of those skills that people have really forgotten how to do in the country. It's like, gee, I need to make this happen. How can I do it? And, it used to be, okay, a lot of us have some, not all the skills to do everything. Nobody's got all the skills. But it used to be, gee, the pipe burst, or the electricity went out, or the roof is leaking. And we figured out how to fix it. Now it's like, I've got to call somebody, and it's somebody else's fault. So I never trimmed my trees in my yard, and a branch fell through my roof. Well, it's not my fault, right? So then they're looking for somebody else to pay the bill. No, good. I mean, that's a lot what preparedness is. It's self-reliance. Okay, when there isn't somebody to call, yes, you could have called the plumber or whatever, and somebody would have come out and fixed it. They might have told you we can be out in 2 weeks, and you're going, well, great, I'll be living in a swimming pool by then. No, you got it done, and that's good. You learned a new skill. Maybe only this much of it, but now you got a general idea of how to do stuff like that. Illini Mike, how are the fish doing? They're still swimming. So, I mean, haven't tried to fish any of them out. They're still, I probably won't fish them until next year. They're probably 6-7 inches, so they're not big enough to fillet yet. McHale 539, have I heard anything about a potential longshoreman strike? Discuss the impact to U.S. supply chain, please. Okay. No, I haven't heard anything about it, but if we have that, yeah, we've got problems again, because ain't nobody unloading ships or loading ships. And we all remember what happened during COVID when none of them were going to work on the West Coast. Nothing was getting anywhere. That's what these communists in Washington do not understand, is we have to have people working. You can't piss off the longshoremen. You can't piss off the truck drivers or something, because without those people, the world stops. I mean, that's it. We're done. If all of a sudden one day, I mean, how many times we've heard about, a truckers convoy that never takes shape. If all of a sudden one day, all the trucks on the road stop, We are at complete, utter gridlock. One day is all it takes. If we took all the trucks off the road, you can see the economy would completely tank. Same thing with the longshoremen. If they stop unloading ships for one day, how much is a backlog of ships out there? We remember, again, during COVID, we had ships sitting out in the middle of the Atlantic waiting for what? 3, 4, 5 weeks before they could get a spot in to even pull the ship in to be unloaded. And we remember what the supply chain issues were then. When you weren't getting car parts. I told you the story at one time where the guy says, yeah, the mechanic said that they were waiting on parts on, I think it was a Jeep, and it was like 8 months till it was going to come in. Gee, you don't have a car for the rest of the year. Von Mousetrap, Mr. P, would I consider doing a Q&A with Patera? That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to. I've emailed back and forth with her a couple of times, not recently, but and I've asked her a couple of times if she wanted to do a live stream together. But Patera's not big on email, I don't think. So, and not that she isn't busy doing everything that she's doing, but I don't push. But I'd love to have a conversation, do a live stream or something like that with her. That'd be a lot of fun. Peppermint Patty, Mr. P and I share the same birthday. Hopefully you're younger than me. Redbird Acres, thank you for easing my fears with the UK. As a citizen, the whole thing has me so shaken. I don't know how I eased your fears. You guys are screwed. Okay. I didn't think there were, I thought France was the country in Europe that was full of cowards. Britain just took the cake. France for 300 years has held that title, and Britain took it over in the month of August. So, yeah, I don't know, easing your fear. You guys are screwed. Okay, you better learn to speak Farsi, because English ain't going to be the national language by 2030. Rick's Corner. Hey, Pinball, do I believe J.D. Vance dressed in drag? I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. Maybe he did for a Halloween costume. I did once. It was hilarious. I working at a bar, and I dressed up as one of the other. I was 23, 24 years old or something. I was going to college. I was working at a bar as bartender, and one of the other bartenders was a 60-year-old lady or whatever it is that tried to dress like she was 20. And so I decided for Halloween I was going to dress up as her. She didn't like it, but everybody else thought it was hilarious. Yeah, and I had a mustache at the time too, so I think so did she. I gotta find where we are. We got shot to the bottom again. Okay, as far as I can get. Sassy Sue, how many dogs do we have? 2, Daffy and Copper. Tony DG, I agree with you on saving the animals. I have her go bag next to mine. Where I go, she goes. They're a commitment 24/7. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Redbird Acres, I'm concerned about my prescription meds. Without one of them, I'm almost bedbound in pain. Then you need to figure out how to get more. You need to talk to your doctor. You need to see if you can buy them online without a prescription. Whatever, somehow, some way, you need to make sure you got enough. Because, again, we could talk about supply chain. We could talk about EMP. We could talk about the internet going down. We could talk about a DDoS attack. Pharmacy can't get the prescription. Poof, you don't get the drugs. Oh, gee, most of the drugs we get are made in India anyway. They're shipped here from China. It's about 80 to 90% of them, just in case you didn't know. Something goes on between us and China. Something goes on between India and China. We don't have any more meds coming. Oops. Another great Bill Clinton thing. Let's move all the manufacturing to other countries. All right. Where are we? Vicky Savage, the number of pets taken out of town and dumped like trash is horrifying. We have that issue here. I think since Mrs. P and I have been here, I think we've taken 5 or 6 dogs to the uh, animal shelter. It's a no-kill shelter. You guys know it's the same one that we donate to every Christmas. We do the fundraiser. But we have people that'll come out and they dump dogs out here. We're way off the main road or whatever. And I mean, we've had a couple of pit bulls. We had a little beagle puppy. And you can tell these dogs they've been out for a while because they're thin and they're deathly afraid of people. They're out. I mean, we've got coyotes and bears and mountain lions and stuff here. Imagine being a little beagle puppy running around. You're scared for your life. And it took us, the last one, it took us a few days before we finally convinced him to get close enough to eat, and then finally convinced him to get close enough for Mrs. P got him, and then we put him up in the upstairs bathroom for the night. Oh, did he stink? And took him to the shelter the next day. But yeah, I mean, we've had, I think, 5 or 6 dogs that we've had to take in 5 years. Linda Town, I have a year's worth of food for my cats. They are family too. Good. Yes. I mean, there's 80 pounds of dog food sitting right there. That'll last these two at least 4 months. And then I've got canned dog food and God knows how much other stuff. And then, of course, I've done videos you guys have seen on making homemade dog food. And I've got homemade canned dog food that I've got in mason jars. Crystal, okay, Michelle, sorry. What's a good natural rabbit, chipmunk, groundhog, repellent? Everything online seemed not to work for me. Thank you in advance. I don't have an answer for you there. I don't know. I mean, I've got chipmunks all over the place. We don't have that many rabbits here. We've got some. But I've got chipmunks all over the place. My repellent is Daphne because she loves to chase them. So. Jamie Pruitt, walking at least 6 miles a day on carnivore is the secret key to losing weight. Sure. In all my spare time, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, I mean, Mrs. P and I will go walk when we do our walk. It's about 1.5 miles. 1.25 miles or whatever. It takes us about 25 minutes or whatever. And sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. I don't have time to go do 6 miles worth of walking. Whatever work I'm doing, that's me running around the backyard. Toyota Fan 83, thank you for the super chat. Do I store my generators fully charged? I heard storing them long-term fully charged is bad for the batteries. Whoever told you that's full of shit. Because the generator companies most of them will advertise the fact that they will hold a charge for about a year without losing any charge in them. Okay. Why would they advertise that if they didn't want you to hold a charge? Then the other thing is, what would be the point of storing a generator without any charge in it? Honey, the power went out. Great, let me go charge the batteries. That doesn't work. And then do I store my batteries fully? My batteries are in operation. Okay. I mean, obviously I've got the ones that run the house. Okay. I mean, I'm sitting under lights right now on solar power. Okay. So that whole system. I've got the one that is on my washing machine. The one's on my refrigerator. I've got 2 on the freezers there. I've got 1 on the freezer outside. And those are all plugged in as UPS, uninterrupted power supply. So the appliance is plugged into the generator is plugged into the wall, so the battery is constantly charging and pass through power to whatever appliance, because if the power goes out and I'm in town, okay, my refrigerator keeps running. Okay, the washing machine, not critical, but it's there to run the washing machine. So if the power goes out, I've got an extra generator. I needed somewhere to put it, and that was it. I've got 2 Delta 1300s that I keep in the garage that I use when I need power out in the backyard, so I'm not dragging around 300 feet worth of extension cord for whatever I need. Those just go back in the back of the side-by-side. I can plug something in right there, move to the next place, and poof, I'm off and running. Mine are used and always charged. Limited access, folks. Check out the LDS, Latter-day Saints, church site for storable food. Yes, the LSD church. Don't go to the LSD church. Uh, yeah, but no, the Mormons are very good in preparedness. And I mean, if you've got, and pretty much every bigger city is going to have some sort of presence, but some of them may have a food pantry as well. Good places to pick up long-term food storage and stuff like that, because Mormons are absolute believers in preparedness. Heather D, try increasing my water intake for weight loss. At that point, I got to start worried about water poisoning because I drink 2 to 3 liters of water a day. So, what do I do for carpenter bees? I've made the little bee traps that you got. You know, it's a box with holes in the top, and they're drilled with a cantilevered hole in it, so the bees go in. You got a mason jar in the bottom and a hole, and it's like, oh, then they see the light down the bottom. They go down in the glass into the mason jar, and then they can't figure out how to get their way back up, and they die in the mason jar. So, yes, I've got 2 on the house and 1 on the garage. And I mean, the one in that corner especially, I mean, I'll collect a half a pint of mason bees a year. Or mason bees, carpenter bees. Deborah Gilmartin, I hope all the gun owners in Pennsylvania that currently do not vote get out and vote for Trump this time. Our country's at stake. There's a couple of people, content creators, whatever you want to call them, that are on Twitter, you know, on whatever, okay, that have been very active in Pennsylvania in going and getting people registered to vote. And there was one I saw today. A guy went into 13 different gun stores and talked to the owners about registering people to vote there. And every one of those gun store owners said, yeah, come on in and do it. So, you know, these guys are putting teams together. I mean, this is what I've said. We have to get active. There are some people that are getting very proactive about doing this. I mean, to the point of, this is, you know, they're not getting paid by the Trump campaign or whatever. This is how important it is to them, you know, and they're sitting in a gun store or at the grocery store or wherever, you know, talking to people. Hey, are you registered to vote? Blah, 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 blah. And they're saying, no, it's not worth it. Okay, well, let me give you the difference between the 2 candidates here real quick. You know, did you pay $79 for groceries or did you pay $279 for groceries? Oh, paid $279. Yeah, the same groceries would have cost you $79 under the last president. Okay, you like spending an extra $200? Well, no, then you need to vote. Christian Prepper, I went to the dollar store and they had freeze-dried peaches for $1.25. They're exactly what I was just saying. Okay, went to the dollar store and paid $1.25. Okay, when Trump was president, the dollar store cost $1. It had freeze-dried peaches for $1.25 for 100 grams. I bought 15 bags. Keep your eyes open at the dollar store. The one thing I will caution about going to the dollar store, okay, is when you're buying stuff, look, especially food, look at the package and see where it was made. Okay. Now you guys know I've talked about going to the grocery outlet here, okay, which is place I'd like to go because, I mean, we were just there the other day and chicken thighs were 50 cents a pound cheaper at the outlet than they were at Food City, which is one of our big grocery stores here. Okay, 50 cents a pound. Okay, that's a lot. But I know I've gone there before and looked at canned goods, and it's like, you know, can of peas, or this was a couple of years ago, can of peas made in China. You know, no, I'm not buying Chinese food. You know, it's bad enough that the Chinese stuff that you buy at Walmart breaks in 91 days. The Chinese, well, don't worry, there's a little bit of ground up glass in there, who cares, you know. Yeah, don't worry, you know, it came from a wet market somewhere, right? Same thing with the dollar store. Make sure you check to see where it was made. Okay, we just talked about that. JB Preps, your thoughts on concealed carry insurance? I have it, and I've got CCW Safe is my concealed carry insurance, and I will tell you this: for what I pay, $179 a year or something like that. Okay, $12, $13 a month on average is what it comes out to be. It's insurance. You hope you never have to use it, but I will tell you this: if I ever get into an incident where I gotta shoot somebody, I'm damn sure happy that I got that. Hi guys, I need an attorney. Okay, one will be on the way. Because what are you gonna do when you get? Oh my God, honey, get out the yellow pages. We've got to find an attorney. Right? Like I know an attorney who specializes in gun cases. No, it's worth it. Okay, I mean it. $12 a month or whatever, $13 a month is what you're paying for one box of cheap ammo. I mean, I went through a magazine. I went through $12 and $13 worth of ammo in 5 seconds on Sunday. One time testing out a new binary trigger. It was like, boom, there goes a 30-round magazine at 40 cents a round. There was $12. Okay, that was it. I have no idea what the context of that one is. Just Arizona. Okay, 5-acre gardener. I found it interesting that a big chain store here in Michigan has prepper magazines near the checkouts. And again, think about what the chain store is doing. I mean, that's there to make money. All right, that's the whole point of a store. They're not there because, gee, we think it's our civic responsibility. No, they're there. Okay, well, how can we increase our profit? So the store has looked around and says, you know what? We seem to be selling a lot more stuff out of sporting goods lately, or out of camping supplies, or people seem to be coming in and buying entire flats of green beans instead of just 2 cans. And they see the news and say, it's like, I wonder if they're doing anything like this. Oh, okay. Well, let's move those magazines up front. I mean, the little card you use at the grocery store, it tracks everything you bought. Okay. You put that card in, and Kroger can come up and go, oh yeah, you know what? In November of 21, Pinball bought this and this and this and this and this. They know it all. That's how they do their market research. Okay. How they know what people buy, when they buy it, how much they buy, how often you go to the store, and they aggregate all that information together and helps them figure out what to keep in inventory, where to put stuff. I mean, there's research firms that watch videos like this and go, okay, what are these guys talking about? Memberberry, do I think that many people here in the U.S. are so comfortable with their life that they would 100% accept anything an authority figure tells them to do? Found out today, extended family are never Trumpers. Okay, yeah, well, they were. You can take off the tended part and say now they're ex-family, because that'll be the fun part when we have the gulags, or go to the Red Dawn movies and the people behind the chain link fence and the barbed wire. It's like, hi, Aunt Joe and Uncle Mary. Don't you wish you would have thought a little bit more before? Because I like being on this side of the fence with my guns and my rights and my freedom. But no, you wanted to give all that away, and look what you got. You got a hot and a cot behind, concertina wire. There you go. Yeah, I do. That's why it hasn't got crazy yet. People, and you've heard me say this, you've heard a lot of people say, we haven't experienced enough pain yet. And Mrs. P and I talk about this all the time. People haven't experienced going to the grocery store and the doors are closed. People haven't experienced going to the bank and the bank says, we don't have any money. You can go back to Lebanon or Venezuela or anything like that. Right now, you still go to the grocery stores and they're full of food. I mean, there's more food in the grocery stores now than there was during COVID. We didn't freak out during COVID. things are more expensive and people are bitching about how expensive it is, but they're still buying. Okay. This is it. We keep seeing that that consumer confidence is down, but American spending is up. And everybody comes up and says, well, it's because things are more expensive and people have to eat. Yeah, but they're still buying it. Okay. It's when things are more expensive and people aren't buying it and still have to eat. That's when the problem starts. We haven't got that far yet. Judy Rose, I'm a girl. Harlequin romances aren't my thing either. There you go. My laundry's done. Maybe Mrs. P's laundry. Carolyn Food Forest, the Jace case is all prescription meds. I spoke to my doc about getting years worth of prescriptions that I'm on, the antibiotics in the Jace case. She said couldn't because of my insurance. Okay. Most of the stuff in there is you have to have prescriptions to get prescription medicine. You can't just, well, no, I take that back. No, you don't. You can buy it through Canadian pharmacies that, yada, yada, yada. But you're overpaying for that. They've contacted me. This was a year ago, 2 years ago, or whatever it was, and a couple of those companies had contacted me. Even the freeze-dried food companies contacted me, and I said, okay, send me a list of everything that's in there. And I started doing the breakdowns for the food. I'm like, okay, so I said, what you're basically doing is telling somebody that they need to spend, I think it was like $14 a meal a day or whatever to eat freeze-dried food. And I said, that wasn't going to work. And I said, with the medicine, I remember doing cross-matching it between Walgreens and Walmart, wherever I could find everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are there's 300% markup on there. It's like, no. Laura Story, your washer dryer is done. Sounds like mine, a Samsung. Yes, it is a Samsung. You are correct. Mortimer, Biden and Harris want a ceasefire deal with Iran Hamas because it will be their first win in their entire presidency. Yeah, Hamas came out this morning and said there ain't no ceasefire deal on the table. Biden's been saying that they've been talking about a ceasefire for over a month now. Hamas keeps saying there's no deal on the table. We're not even in talks. So, again, we'll lie to the people and we're taking care of it. Don't worry. I mean, that's it. Until it all blows up. And this is what I was saying. At 11:59 to go. Oh shit! Now we can't do anything about it. Here we go. Get ready, guys, because the nukes have already been launched. Diane Deuce starting a medicinal herb garden. Any favorites? Doing tinctures and salves to start. I've done videos on this. You want, things dandelion, plantain, echinacea, lavender. I mean, those are good ones to start with because they will handle things like swelling, rashes, that sort of stuff. Moving on down. Limited access. Used to be we made things. Work with what we have. Common sense. Yes, exactly. People, we used to have shop class for the guys or home ec for the girls. People learned how to do stuff. It wasn't like, well, if I can't put it in the microwave, how do I cook dinner? Really, you learned, Seriously, when do I think that will take the grid down? I have no clue. Okay. We're going to have an October surprise. You know that there's going to be something that's going to come up, whether it's a black swan event or something is going to come just before the election. Always does. Some big news drops. We're going to have some sort of issue. Josh Brazil, thank you for the super chat. You hear about crossing red lines and everything that is going on in the world. What should our red line be when it comes to our country? That's going to be different in everybody's case. For some people, it's going to be Donald Trump getting elected. Damn well the liberals are going to lose their collective mind in November when they lose. And it's going to be burning cities down and God knows what. And then again, the whole thing comes up is you wanted to defund the police, you wanted community policing, fine, we're community policing. And gee, I'm sorry, this guy was going to torch my house. So my only option was to stop him. Uh, that that's what it's going to be. Now you get on the other side, and if Kamala Harris wins, well, then you're going to have the other side of the issue. It'll be a little later. It'll be after she starts putting in the communist principles and implementing the communist manifesto, and says, "Oh, we're going to open the borders up. We no longer have any borders. Anybody wants to come in can come in. The crime will just skyrocket even worse. Oh, we're going to confiscate your guns," and that's when the conservatives go absolutely ballistic. I mean, I'm very concerned about a lot of bloodshed in the street in a few months, from one side or the other. Hence the reason I keep improving and practicing, as it sits right here next to me. Actually, two of them do. Harbor Prepper, thank you for the super chat. Talk about learning. I was at the post office today in line behind a 20-something applying for a passport. He didn't know how to fill out a check pre-signed by Daddy, the clerk. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, how to tie shoes, how to read an analog clock. You think I'm kidding? This is stupid stuff they don't know how to do. How many stories have we heard about Zoomers who are like, "Oh, I got a credit card and I maxed it out." Well, you got to pay it back. "Oh, I didn't know I had to do that. I thought it was just free money." Remember hearing all those stories? This is how brain dead they are. But this is why I said this isn't just a problem going back to Joe Biden. This goes all the way back to Bill Clinton, okay? Because the whole idea was to dumb down the United States generation after generation after generation. They said back in the 90s it was a 30-year plan. Guess what? We're in 30 years. Okay? They wanted to dumb down generation or two. They got the Zoomers and the millennials, who most of them are, too stupid to set an alarm clock to get up in the morning. So that, and the downside is, I pray to God that the 10% of millennials and Zoomers who are actually intelligent are the ones running this country, because if we get any more morons like Ilhan Omar and stuff like that in Congress, this country's toast no matter what happens. Kathleen Maddox, we need to start manufacturing in the United States. What industries should we start with? We need to go back to the basics. We still do a lot of automotive. We need to go back to the basics. We need to bring back the steel mills and stop buying all our steel from Japan or whatever. We need to bring back the paper mills. All the paper products and things like that. The basics. We don't make anything here to speak of. Drugs, that needs to come back to the United States. Hospital equipment, medical should be the absolute first, because when we are outsourcing our medical care to countries that are our enemy, somebody explain the logic of that to me. They have us by the cojones, and we're not smart enough to realize it. Moving on down. Oops. Okay, I'm trying to find Orion Preparedness. In my opinion, what are 5 similarities between the Biden and Putin administrations that people are naive to? Okay. We got 2 minutes left on the live stream. I'm not going to go into that. Michael Eversberg, Pinball, the dry beans that you buy at the store, can they be planted in the garden? Absolutely. That's the funny thing. If you want to plant pinto beans, go buy them in the store, and they're a lot cheaper than buying seeds. It's the same thing. Okay. Bacon, once again, the Google moderators have censored my comments on Pinball's live stream. That doesn't surprise me. Google's been, you should see the fun I've been having with making videos. And it's like, nope, you can't post this one. Oh, I gotta do another one. Nope, you can't post that one. Crap. Milo and Ready, what are sitting next to me? 223 or 308? 556, both of them. Living life randomly. Do you think having a passport is a good thing these days? Not planning on traveling international anytime soon? Absolutely. Having a passport is a good thing. You may need to get out of the country. I just got mine renewed. I mean, it was almost 10 years. It expired beginning of next year, I think it was. So I just got my new one. Mrs. P obviously has recently got her U.S. passport. Absolutely. Not that you're planning on traveling. It's going to be, I mean, there's less and less places in the world you want to go to anymore because they're not safe. But you may need to get out of the country. And it's not like it used to be 30, 40 years ago where you go into Mexico or Canada with a driver's license. Now you got to have a passport. You may not want to stay in Mexico or Canada, but that may be your only chance to get out. So, all right, 'tis 9 o'clock. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball out. Doink.